Imagine this. You wake up, check your bank account, and realize your Social Security payment looks different. Or maybe it hasn't arrived yet. Your heart starts racing, bills are waiting, groceries aren't getting cheaper, and suddenly you're dialing the Social Security office hoping someone picks up. But what happens when the system behind that phone call is changing? Starting March 7th, the Social Security Administration is rolling out a major operational shift that could affect how you get help, how your case is handled, and how fast problems get solved. This isn't about a single rule or a small policy tweak. This is a nationwide system overhaul that will change how Social Security offices work across the entire country. For decades, local Social Security offices handled cases mainly from their own area. If you lived in Ohio, your case stayed in Ohio. If you lived in Texas, it stayed in Texas. But that's about to change. Starting March 7th, cases, phone calls, and appointments could be handled by staff anywhere in the country. Now, here's the important part. Your monthly payment isn't automatically changing because of this. But the way you get help, solve problems, and manage your benefits could feel very different. And for millions of Americans who rely on Social Security to survive, not just to live comfortably, but to pay rent, buy food, and keep the lights on, any change to the system feels personal. Because when Social Security changes, your life changes. Why March 7 is such a big date? So why is March 7 such a critical moment? Because this is the day the Social Security Administration switches to a national workload model, a completely different way of handling claims and customer service. Under the old system, local field offices operated almost like separate mini-agencies. Each office handled its own cases, its own calls, and its own appointments. But starting March 7th, that local-first model disappears. Instead, the agency is launching two major systems: a national appointment scheduling calendar, a national workload management system. Together, these tools will allow appointments to be scheduled automatically and cases to be assigned to staff anywhere in the United States, not just in your local office. In simple terms, if you call Social Security after March 7th, the person helping you might not be in your state. They could be hundreds or even thousands of miles away. The government says this will reduce backlogs, improve efficiency, speed up service nationwide, but not everyone is convinced. Some employees and experts worry that this new system could create confusion, especially when state-specific rules come into play. Social Security programs like SSI can vary based on local laws and policies, and handling those cases nationally could increase mistakes or delays if staff aren't fully trained. So while the goal is to modernize the system, the transition period could feel bumpy, especially for seniors and disabled Americans who depend on fast, accurate service. What this means for your phone calls. Let's talk about something very real: the moment you pick up the phone and call Social Security. For many Americans, that call happens during a crisis. Maybe your check didn't arrive. Maybe you need to change your direct deposit. Maybe you just got a confusing letter in the mail. Right now, when you call, you're usually routed to someone connected to your local office. But after March 7th, calls will be handled on a national level, meaning the next available representative anywhere in the country could answer. On paper, that sounds like a good thing. Faster service, shorter wait times, more efficiency. And there is some positive news. Average phone wait times have already dropped dramatically, from about 30 minutes in 2024 to around 9 minutes in early 2026 after system upgrades and staffing changes. But here's the concern. The Social Security workforce was reduced by more than 12% in 2025. That means fewer employees are handling more national cases at once. Some staff members say they're already stretched thin, and with national case assignments, they may now have to understand rules from all 50 states, not just their own. That could lead to longer processing times, more complicated calls, potential errors in certain cases. So yes, you might get someone on the phone faster, but whether your issue gets resolved smoothly could depend on how well this new system works in real life. The appointment system is changing too. Now let's talk about appointments, because this is another big shift starting March 7th. In the past, if you needed to apply for benefits or fix a problem, you'd usually call or visit your local office to schedule an appointment. That office handled your scheduling directly. But under the new system, appointments will be scheduled through a national online calendar. This means you may schedule your appointment online. The system will assign a time automatically. The appointment may be handled by staff outside your local office. The goal is to make scheduling easier and reduce delays. The system can automatically match you with the next available worker based on availability and skill set. But here's where some Americans feel nervous. Not everyone is comfortable with online systems, chatbots, or digital scheduling tools. Many seniors prefer speaking to a real person, especially when dealing with something as important as Social Security. Experts warn that for older Americans, this transition could be confusing at first. While younger generations may adapt quickly, seniors who rely on in-person help or phone service may face short-term disruption. So if you or someone in your family plans to apply for benefits soon, it may be wise to prepare for a slightly different appointment process after March 7th. Will your monthly check change? Now let's answer the question everyone is really asking. Will this March 7 change affect your monthly payment? The short answer is no, not directly. This operational overhaul is mainly about how Social Security handles cases, appointments, and customer service, not about cutting benefits or changing eligibility. In fact, many beneficiaries already saw an increase in 2026 thanks to the 2.8% cost of living adjustment, which added about $56 per month on average. So if you noticed a slightly higher payment this year, that was due to inflation adjustments, not the March 7 changes. However, even though the payment formulas aren't changing on that date, the service experience could. And for many Americans, that matters just as much as the amount of the check. Because if you need to fix an error, apply for disability, change your banking details, appeal a decision, your experience with the system after March 7 could look very different from what it was before. And when your rent, medications, or groceries depend on that system working smoothly, even small changes can feel like a big deal. The workforce cuts. Behind the scenes. There's another part of this story that doesn't get talked about enough, and it could affect you more than you think. Behind the scenes, the Social Security Administration has been dealing with staffing challenges. In 2025 alone, the agency's workforce dropped by about 12%. That means fewer employees are now responsible for helping tens of millions of Americans. So why introduce a national system now? Because the agency believes centralizing the workload will help manage those staffing shortages. Instead of some offices being overwhelmed while others are quieter, cases can be distributed across the country. In theory, that means faster service overall, more balanced workloads, fewer backlogs. But the concern is simple. If there are fewer workers and they're now handling cases from every state, the complexity increases. And complexity can lead to delays, confusion, or mistakes, especially during the early months of the transition. So March 7 isn't just a system update. It's part of a much bigger effort to keep Social Security running despite staffing cuts and growing demand. Who could feel the biggest impact? Not every Social Security recipient will feel these changes the same way. If you already receive benefits, rarely contact the SSA. Don't need to make changes. You may not notice much difference at all, but certain groups could feel the impact more strongly. For example, new applicants. If you're applying for retirement or disability benefits, the new scheduling and workload systems will likely affect your appointment and claim process. SSI recipients. Supplemental Security income cases often involve state-specific rules. Handling these cases nationally could increase complexity during the transition. People with urgent issues. If you need to correct a payment, fix an overpayment notice, or change your direct deposit, your experience with the SSA could depend heavily on how smoothly the new system works. And of course, seniors who rely on phone or in-person service may feel the biggest adjustment as more processes shift toward national and digital systems. So while the change is nationwide, its impact will depend on your personal situation. The bigger picture, changes already happening in 2026. The March 7 shift isn't happening in isolation. It's part of a year full of Social Security changes. In 2026, benefits increased by 2.8% due to inflation. The maximum taxable earnings cap rose to $184,500. The maximum monthly benefit for high earners increased. These changes affect workers, retirees, and future beneficiaries in different ways. For many retirees, the COLA increase helped offset rising costs, but surveys show many still feel the increase isn't enough to keep up with expenses. At the same time, policymakers continue to debate long-term fixes for the program's finances, as projections show potential shortfalls in the next decade if no changes are made. So the March 7 update is just one piece of a much larger Social Security story unfolding in 2026. What you should do before and after March 7. Now let's get practical. What should you actually do about these changes? Here are a few simple steps that could save you stress later. 1. Handle urgent issues early. If you need to change your direct deposit, fix an error, or apply for benefits, consider doing it before March 7th if possible. 2. Be patient during the transition. Any major system overhaul can come with delays or confusion in the early weeks. 3. Use online tools if you can. The new system is built around digital scheduling and national service. If you're comfortable online, it could make things easier. 4. Keep records of everything. Save letters, confirmation numbers, and notes from phone calls, especially during this transition period. Most importantly, remember this: your benefits aren't automatically changing because of this date. The system is changing, not the core payment formulas. But how you interact with that system may look different going forward. What could happen in the first 30 days? After March 7th, the first few weeks after any major government system change are often the most unpredictable. And that's exactly why the period right after March 7 could feel different for many Americans who rely on Social Security. When a new national workload system launches, employees across the country will begin using new tools, new procedures, and new scheduling methods all at once. Even with training, there is always a learning curve. That means the first 30 days could include small delays, system adjustments, or longer processing times for certain cases. Think about it this way. Imagine a company moving all of its customer service operations into a single national center overnight. Even if the goal is better efficiency, there will be a transition period. Employees need time to adjust, systems need time to stabilize, and customers, people like you, may notice the difference. For some Americans, the change could actually feel positive. You might get through on the phone faster. You might get an earlier appointment than expected. Your case might move quicker because it's no longer stuck in a busy local office. But for others, the experience could feel confusing at first. You might speak to someone in a different state. You might be transferred more than once. You might need to explain your situation more clearly than before. This is why the first month after March 7 is so important. It will set the tone for how the new system performs long-term. So if you need help during that time, remember, a little patience could go a long way. System transitions are rarely perfect on day one, but the goal of this change is to create a faster, more balanced system across the entire country. And if it works as planned, the long-term experience could become smoother than what many Americans have dealt with in the past. Here's the truth: Social Security isn't just another government program. For millions of Americans, it's the difference between stability and stress, between paying the bills and falling behind, between independence and uncertainty. And when changes like this happen, especially ones that affect how the system works behind the scenes, it's easy to feel confused, anxious, or left in the dark. March 7 isn't the end of Social Security. It's not a benefit cut. It's not a new tax. It's a major shift in how the system operates. But transitions like this can shape your experience for years to come. If you ever need to, apply for benefits, fix a payment issue, appeal a decision, talk to a representative. The system you interact with after March 7 could feel very different from the one you knew before, and that's why staying informed isn't optional anymore. It's essential. Because the more you understand these changes, the more control you have over your future, your finances, and your peace of mind. So stay alert, stay informed, and make sure you keep up with the next updates, because when Social Security changes, it's not just policy, it's your life, your family, and your wallet.